Well, hello everyone. Things look a little different because my webcam died the death and I'm having to do this on my phone. We'll see how long this lasts. I don't know. I haven't really tried doing anything with my phone camera for any length of time, so I don't know how long it's going to be before it overheats and I have to do an edit. We'll find out about this, and yes, my voice is gone too. This is the wrong time of year to be recording. We got rain, we got crap, all sorts of stuff blowing in from who knows where with all sorts of allergens. Oh boy, I'm telling you. But yes, I am going to have to get a new webcam, so I really want to spend the money and get a better one so that I can more reliably do the live streams and other things like that. So if you've got any recommendations for good ones, if you've got any good experience with them, or if you know what kind of webcams any major live streamers use, please comment with it below. And if you want to help me get it, you could just send a little bit to donate.bugosity.tv and help me offset the costs of that, because I don't want to get another cheap, like $40 webcam or something like that. I want to spend the money on something that's going to work. That'll be tough, of course, with the Christmas season around, but I'll see what I'll be able to do. But there's a live stream upcoming on Thursday. I believe this will post on Tuesday, and that I will not have a webcam for that, so you won't see me on that. You'll hear me, but anyway, let's get into this before things start getting overheated on my phone. Maybe it won't. Maybe it won't happen. I've had problems with the stock Android camera, but I installed the one from Graphene OS. It seems to work a lot better. So we'll see. We'll see. Ah, yes, this is Obesity Confronting a New Normal. We have Ivy League doctors from Harvard and Yale and Rutgers and so on. It's not your fault that you're obese. No, it's not behavioral issues. It's not because you're eating too much and just sitting around all day, on your phone or whatever. No. It doesn't stem from behavioral issues. The traditional understanding of eating less and exercising more had no effect on reversing or preventing obesity. Maybe because people weren't doing it? You kind of actually have to do it, to be able to make it work. And I know I'm able to keep myself from getting over 215. I'd like to get down under 200, but it's getting difficult as the pain issues increase and things like that. But I know what it's about. It's about me figuring out how to move around more. And if I could, find a physical therapist or something, someone maybe who could, teach me all of the exercises that I can do with whatever the new normal with my body is. Maybe I can get down below 200 again. I was down below 200 before COVID hit. COVID messed everything up. But yeah, that's what it's all about. So this is Anya Jastabroff of the Yale School of Medicine. Obesity is not a personal choice. For years, the advice was that our patients needed to eat less and move more. That does not work. Well, it seems to work well for a lot of people. There's a lot of people it's working well for. I don't know. Harvard medical professor David Ludwig. Western culture has considered obesity a character problem. Obesity is simply a matter of eating less and moving more, and if you can't do it, it's a lack of character or discipline, or something like chronic pain or something like that, but it's still the same reality. When in reality, Harvard reality, we know how that is nowadays, obesity is more about biology than behavior. We need to think about nutrition as we think about drugs. Yep. And yes, the doctors touted drugs as the cure for obesity. We've got a drug for that. Yes, it's a disease and we've got a pill. Well, it's not a pill. It's an injectable appetite suppressant, semaglutide, the weight drug popularized by celebrities. Yeah, I really like using things that are popularized by celebrities. Yeah. Yeah. I just really trust those. I think we're in an incredibly exciting time, said Jastabroff. We had tools previously to treat patients with obesity, but now we have new, highly effective, and safe medications that target disease pathophysiology. You ready for the punchline? In order to keep the weight off once lost, however, the doctor said individuals have to take the drug in perpetuity. Well, isn't that just great for Big Pharma? Can we see like a conflict of interest statement with these doctors? To see what pharmaceutical company makes this drug and are they do they have any connections to it? I mean, 6 minutes in, everything's looking good so far. One of the most common questions I get, whether it's from my colleagues or my patients, is, well, I took this medication. Have I lost the weight? Can I stop taking the medicine? Am I all done? And the answer is no. You have to keep taking the medicine. For life. Once you started a medication, we expect that you would stay on it long term in order to both lose and maintain that weight loss over time. So not like, until you get a new diet established or until you figure out a good exercise regime that you can do. No, just stay on the pills. Stay on the pills. Stay on the injectables. Keep coming back for your shots. Is anyone really taking issue with the fact that I'm kind of skeptical about this? Yeah. Although the doctors dismissed personal choice as a factor for obesity, the doctors blamed obesity on poor food choices. Wait, what? Dismissed personal choice as a factor, but blamed on poor food choices. See, this is why I couldn't be an Ivy League professor. They wouldn't take me. They classified America as an obesogenic environment, a prevalence of highly processed, always that word, right? Processed. That doesn't mean anything. I've covered this before. You cook food, it's processed. You seal it up in a box, it's processed. Processed is one of those boogeyman terms that doesn't really mean anything. You want to complain about certain things they do, like, oh, they put in too much salt, or they use high fructose corn syrup instead of, some other kind of a better sweetener like cane sugar or something like that. Something that's going to help you get an insulin response. No, that's not what they're talking. It's processed. And palatable foods, sedentary and high-stress lifestyles. Isn't that a choice too? A lifestyle is a personal choice, isn't it? A sedentary lifestyle, as opposed to one where you get up and move around more. Do they really not see how they've contradicted themselves here? Do they really not get that? And poor sleep. Sleep is good. If you get a good night's sleep, it's amazing how many health issues will be much better because of that. The doctors indicated that the transition to remote work and education during the COVID-19 pandemic worsened the obesogenic environment. Yes, let's just blame COVID too. We had this problem long before COVID, but why not? Now, they do have a good point. I'll give them that in this next paragraph. They linked modern obesity rates to the Nixon administration's overhaul of agriculture under then Secretary of Agriculture Earl Butz. And he led the mass industrialization of two key ingredients in highly processed foods, soy and corn. And yeah, that's we could, oh man, so many problems we could avoid. We could get rid of entirely if we eliminated corn subsidies. You just have I could go on all day about the problems with corn subsidies. And HFCS is one of them. The doctor said Butz's leadership resulted in the massive proliferation of junk foods, processed foods that are easily digestible and consisting of simple sugars. You want to talk about getting rid of that? I'm for it. Get rid of it. I'd go even further. We need to get rid of the Agricultural Adjustment Act and overturn Wickard v. Filburn. And in my home state, far from the only one, but there's places like, I live in the southern Piedmont, but if you go up into the northern Piedmont, and then eastward, like through Fayetteville and on through Lumberton and all that, you see what's called the rot belt. You know how the rust belt was when the steel factories closed down? The rot belt is all of these old traditional family farms and farming towns that are just, they're not ghost towns. People are still living there, but they're so impoverished that it doesn't look like there have been any, economic development really since the 70s. Kind of looks like they did, back when I was a kid. And it's because most people there are farmers and they can't sell their stuff. That kind of idyllic view of the farmer, the hard-working farmer who works so hard that he grows more food than he can eat. And so he sells the rest to get other things he needs. Well, that second part, completely cut off. Because now you have to go through the USDA to do it. And there is, was it Chuck Grassley? Someone in Congress, when COVID hit, and they messed up the supply lines, and stores were having trouble getting meat and produce, and the shelves were just empty. A lot of local farmers said, hey, we can do that. We've got meat. We've got produce. Let us do that. And this act was just for the duration of COVID. Just let them sell to local grocery stores. And they couldn't even get that past Congress. Even as like an emergency COVID measure. Because that's how much influence the big factory farms have on Congress. And it's because of the Agricultural Adjustment Act and Wickard v. Filburn. This one was ridiculous. Roscoe Filburn was a farmer. And they said he was subject to regulation. He wasn't allowed to grow grain because of the Interstate Commerce Clause gave Congress the power to regulate it. Interstate commerce. Now, Filburn was not selling grain across state lines. He wasn't even selling grain at all. He grew the grain to feed to his own livestock. And they still regulated that as interstate commerce. Because they said, well, otherwise he'd have to buy the grain, and he would probably buy it from, someone selling it across state lines. So it affected interstate commerce. This is what they do, people. Starting in the 90s, thankfully, the court started shaving away at the sides of it a bit, so it's not as bad as it was, but need to see if we can get that thing completely overturned, because that was ridiculous. All right. Speaking of ridiculous, back to the dumb statements. I think the most dangerous drug on earth is food. Addictive foods are so pervasive. They're everywhere. Ooh, it's addictive. You're going to be addicted to the evil food. Ooh. Yeah, everything's addictive nowadays. Everything's addictive. Yep. TV is addictive. Phones are addictive. All sorts of things, yeah. Yeah, it's not just people spend too much time on the phones. They're addicted to it. TikTok is addictive. We've actually heard that. They're saying that in Congress. TikTok is addictive. I don't know about you, but I don't find TikTok all that addictive. I tried it for a while and I was like, nah. Didn't like it. The doctors blamed highly processed foods for creating negative peptide hormonal feedback loops, as well as disrupting the flow of insulin and glucagon. Guess what does that? HFCS. HFCS. Yeah, and again, it's like they really, really want us using that. So it's not just about, by the way, the corn subsidies, making it cheaper for them to do that. They put the tariffs on sugar, on cane sugar, coming in from out of the country. So that it just made the sugar more expensive, the HFCS cheaper. By the way, HFCS is not natural. It's made in a lab. So, not a natural ingredient. Don't believe the hype about it. But then they started genetically modifying sugar beets to produce sucrose. Now, the sucrose produced by the sugar beets is exactly the same kind of sucrose you get in ordinary table sugar. And yet, and yes, this was astroturfing from the big corn growers. Yep, complete astroturfing over all this. Oh, it's GMO, it's genetically modified, it's horrible, we have to do this. And so now, guess what? No more GMO sugar beets for us. It's ridiculous, man. So they do have some points here. It's just not what they're concluding. The problems we're having come from government intrusion into the free market. Get rid of those intrusions, and you see a lot of this roll back. Oh, you might have to put up with things you don't like someone buying raw milk from an Amish farmer. Oh no, they're buying raw milk. Well, it's their choice. A lot of these people say that about abortion. Oh, it's the woman's body, it's the woman's choice. Well, why doesn't that apply to anything else? Why doesn't that apply to foods we eat and drugs we take and things like that? Why does government have to intrude on every last little bit of that? Ludwig said these foods cause fat cells to hold on to too many calories while starving the brain and other parts of the body, resulting in an individual eating more to feel full. That's what the lack of insulin response does. Ludwig said that fasting would be futile in these cases. Well, it probably would, but it's still going to be the case that the less you eat, the fewer calories you take in versus what you burn off, you lose weight. That's actually how it happens. So yeah, there are biological processes that are disrupted by eating, HFCS instead of cane sugar and things like that. And it would be better if we went, but it'd be way better if we went away from the factory farms and let the small and local farmers actually sell locally their meat and produce. We'd be so much better off of that. But as far as their basic conceit of this, as far as the angle they're coming from this, I don't even need to go into diet. I don't even need to go into biology. I'm just going to talk about physics. Conservation of matter and energy. You can't create it. You can't destroy it. It goes somewhere. If you've gained 100 pounds, that means that over that time period, you had to have taken in 100 pounds more mass than you excreted or exhaled or burned off. That has to be the case. And that's why I don't believe for 1 second these people who are 600-700 pounds years old, I only just had a salad. You're 700 pounds, you're not eating salads. You're not eating one salad. You're eating a lot of stuff. Because that mass that's making up your body has to come from somewhere. Where does it come from? The foods you eat. And that's just all there is to it. You're not going to get around that. So yes, we need to do some things about it. Yes, we need to repeal the Nixon era stuff. And yes, we need to go even further. Repeal the Agricultural Adjustment Act, overturn Wickard v. Filburn, and get rid of all of these, bogus regulations on GMOs and things like that. But most of it, it's still going to be the case that if you want to lose weight, you can't just sit around on your phone all day and then stuff your face with whatever you want. Because I'm sure, even if we did all that stuff, I'm sure they'd still be selling Twinkies. Because Twinkies are delicious and people like Twinkies. That's fine. You like a Twinkie, eat a Twinkie. I don't care for them myself, but just be cognizant of how many calories you're getting in. And make sure you have a lifestyle where you're getting up and you're moving around enough to where it's not an issue. Try get a good exercise program that you can do based on whatever physical limitations you might be under. Believe me, I know all about those. But you can do it. You can do it. I will fully admit I could have gotten under 200 already if I had a little more discipline, but I have my own little vices. It's just that my medicine tastes so horrible. I need something sweet. Otherwise that taste is going to be in my mouth all day. If they could just make the medicine taste better. They do that with some of them. They put that coating on them that tastes good. I don't know why they can't do that with more of them. Actually, I do know it's the FDA, but that's a whole other video. I think I might have covered that before. As it is right now, I'm going to call it a video for this one. Thank you so very much for watching. Comments for the comment god, shares for the share throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. Share this video. The more you share it, the more it gets past the shadow banning. I see that over and over and over again. All right, the views go up, 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 and then boink, just level off completely when the shadow banning kicks in. Someone shares it. Oh, someone else shared it. I can tell when someone shared it. And even if you say, well, only I've got 5 followers on X. And they're only, well, that's going to help because it's not just those 5 people or 3 or 4 or however many who are clicking on the video to watch it. The fact that they did it kind of makes the algorithm get going again and show it to more people on YouTube. That's how that works, and that helps more than you know. And also, donate.bogosity.tv. Help me get a new webcam. Again, please put your recommendations below. Let me know what's a good one. I'd like to get a 4K one, so I can do a lot of these things in full screen. But really, for the ones like this one and for the monthly live streams, a 1080p one would work fine. So, I mean, if I can't afford the 4K, that's fine. I got the main camera up there I can use for 4K stuff. I just can't really use that as a webcam. But either way, put your recommendations below. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, stay strong and be free.